Well, the year was 1999, and I was working for my last job. I was in a corporate company, and that was going really well. I started there in August. I didn't know that was going to be my last time working for someone else, becoming an entrepreneur after that. But I needed some help. And so I went to the CEO of the company and said, I could really use a secretary. Could you please help me find the right person? So the very first thing he said to me is, David, you need to learn how to write a job description. So since it was 1999 and we kind of were limited back then about how we could get different people uh, in different resources. So I remember going to the library and checking out a couple books on how to write a job description. So 2 or 3 pages later, I came and brought it to the CEO. He approved it. The funds were there. And so I started to look for a secretary. And lo and behold, there were 3 or 4 different applicants that I was looking at, but the one that really kind of raised to the top there was, her name was Kelly Sams. Now, Kelly was a personal friend, and she had the right disc personality to be a secretary. And I remember bringing her on saying, listen, let's make something great out of this company. And over the next 4 years, Kelly went from a secretary to administrator. I moved to South Africa and I lived there for a couple of years back in 2002 through 2004. And she helped me start 2 more companies in the US. And eventually she became the CEO of all 4 companies. That was my first hire, and it was fantastic. And when I look back on that, I say, my goodness, did I ever get lucky? I put the right procedures in place and didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of winging it. It was 21 years ago. I was much younger then, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I found the right person for the right job fit, and it was a fantastic experience. Today, we're going to talk to you about Pitfalls of Partnerships Part 2. The first part was by far the best webinar we've ever had, and that was on how to form external partnerships. And this talk is about how to form internal partnerships, which is your employees, your followers. So I'm excited about sharing with you some of these ideas. And I'm really looking forward to getting some feedback about how this information can help you to make sure that the next hire that you have is the right one. So we're going to talk about some introductory ideas about recruiting for the future, screening from the past, hiring for the present, retaining for the incentives, how to keep people long-term, the timing of your SOPs, when to implement them, and then some concluding thoughts. So excited to be with you, and thank you for giving up of your hour today. Okay, so here's the introduction. So we're on the internal partnerships right now, and we're going to review 4 key components: recruiting, screening, hiring, and retaining. Those are the 4 different areas we're going to talk about in this hour. So let's talk about where we're at. The main reason why the cannabis industry is struggling to find and keep amazing followers or employees is found in the fact that most owners, HR managers, and executives see recruiting, screening, and hiring as one event rather than 3 separate processes. This can lead to the hiring of low-quality individuals that quickly resign and the inability of the organization to retain high-quality followers that will remain long-term. So if you believe that the concept of recruiting people to come on your team, screening them and hiring is just, it can happen in a couple hours, it's an event, then what happens is the screening process is broken, and typically people get through your screen that should not be able to get through. Now, I'm going to ask your permission right now to stand on your toes on this talk. This is the last talk that we gave on Pitfalls of Partnership Part 1 was a feel-good talk. It was the 4 different quadrants of partnerships and which one you normally gravitate to. It really helped people to get the right ideas about how to go into a partnership and how to ensure that it works. This is a little bit different. This is about how you hire and what are you good at hiring. Because some people are great at recruiting, but they're terrible at screening. And we all have our different gift mixes. But today, hopefully, you're going to walk away with some new ideas that you can implement and find some other people that maybe can implement if you can't. So I need to be able to stand on your toes. The number one attribute of why people get hired that are the wrong job fit is if they get overpaid. We have seen salaries in agriculture, salaries in grows, salaries in benefits and bonuses and stipends and all these things as if the industry is 30 years old, 40 years old. So what you've got is many times people see the dollar signs, don't have any passion, have some gifts, have some skills, and come and go after the money instead of actually being at a place where they're passionate about what they do and have the expertise to follow. And the speed in which individuals get hired in a company in the cannabis industry is atrocious. You know, if you were to go to IBM and you were to say, I want a job, they have a process that can take sometimes 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months. If it's a big position, it may take you 4 to 6 months before you go through all of the hoops, before they know that you're the right person. It's a great fit. They're very thorough. But in the cannabis industry, it's almost like, hey, you look like a nice guy. I think I'll hire you and pay you money. I hope you can do the job. So it's kind of a lot of winging it right now. People are kind of winging it in this space of hiring other people. So the turnover is shocking. So any general business person that's coming from normal business that sees, hears, reads about the lack of procedures and hiring people would be absolutely shocked, speechless. They wouldn't know what to do because it is so far away from the context of following procedures. So what I'm hoping that this talk will do, and we'll put this online, and we're going to encourage a lot of cannabis industry leaders to watch this, is to ask the question, is the cannabis industry ready to raise the level of its maturity when it comes to hiring? You know, I know that, you know, the hemp industry has just been legal not even 3 years. So there's lots of changes taking place in there, and lots of people being hired. And right now, as you know, we're almost up to 40 million people in America that have lost their jobs. If there's ever a time in the cannabis industry to hire great people that have great skills, now's the time, because 40 million people are looking for jobs. And hopefully this talk can help you find the right ones. So recruiting for the future. You know, this is about how do you think about when you're interviewing somebody, whether or not that the right job is for now, but as you grow, will that person be able to grow with you? Because if, let's say right now your company is right here, it's at a 5 out of a 10 of excellence, and it's got some SOPs are not developed, you don't have job descriptions, you don't have your vision statement down, you might even have a website, but you might be making a lot of money. But what happens is you say over the next 5 years, we want to get to a 10. When you're hiring a person, if you hire them too low to fulfill a position and the company continues to grow, that person may not be able to grow fast enough with the company, and then they are stuck and the company goes too high and then this person doesn't fit in anymore. So here's the need right now in the marketplace. There's a churning, there's an emotional churning because people feel like they need to hire immediately, like yesterday. And that feeling and that churning can cause a business owner, an entrepreneur, HR manager to bypass their due diligence, and it also silences the person's intuition. And those are two key indicators to know that you're recruiting the right people. So what I call this is the pendulum of internal partnerships. And this is the solution for obtaining the right person for the right position. So I want to talk to you about this pendulum that's swinging here. So here's what it is, the pendulum of internal partnerships. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is called intuitive decision making. There are more people today in the cannabis industry that use their intuition almost than any other industry out there. What I love about people in the cannabis industry is they're feelers. They sense, they shake your hand. The people that have honed their intuition are making a lot of their decisions, and a lot of them are really good. Now, if you're more of a cognitive person, you're more in the factual due diligence, then here's what happens with this. You have your SOPs developed. You've got your job description. You check up on references. You do your factual due diligence. And the people here make decisions based upon their intuition. Now, if you see this pendulum that swings to and fro, what you're going to recognize is that you need both of these to make the right decision. So, for instance, if you're a really intuitive person and you say, man, my intuition is really accurate. Here's my question. The last 5 people that you shared your company with, that maybe you were looking for investment, how many yeses did you get? The last 5 people that you've been looking for to hire, and you hired 5 people, how many of those people are still with you after a year? See, your intuition is based upon certain principles that some people are really great at, but you can't forget the factual due diligence. You need to have a job description. Your intuition may be great, but you could be hiring somebody that's unproductive. So the factual due diligence are all of the things you need to do so that you can combine it with your intuition. So if you're great with your factual due diligence and you've got all of your ducks in a row, if you don't use your intuition, you can have a person that checks off all of the check marks. You tick off all the boxes, and then you hire the person, and then they don't produce, and they're the wrong person. You say, that's impossible. I did everything right. Question, did you ask your intuition, was this the right person? So the pendulum swings in between due diligence and intuition. And if you are constantly churning because you need to hire somebody, that churning can silence your intuition so that you don't sense whether this is the right or the wrong person. So calm down, make sure that you focus, and take your time through the process, because if you make the wrong decision with your next hire, it can cost you not tens of thousands, but possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars. The second part in this is the factual due diligence, and that can be sabotaged by speed. The people that really want to hire quick, think that they found the right person, have done all their due diligence and say, this is the right person, let's get them in the company, when can you start? You can check the boxes off so quickly that they're not thorough, and that can be sabotaged by the speed in which you need to hire someone. So those are some thoughts for you to think. Or am I more intuitive, or am I better at due diligence? So part 2 is recruiting for the future. So some questions. Who is responsible in your company to recruit the next team member? Should you recruit internally or externally? These kind of answers will help you refine your process for recruiting people out in the marketplace until you find 3 to 5 good potentials. When you have those 3 to 5 good potentials, you want to put them through a sifting process, a screening process, to ensure that you find the right person for your company that fits in the job perfectly. So let's take a look at screening. When I think about screens, currently I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have a major moth infestation in Fort Collins right now. I don't know what's going on with the moths, but I found them in my grill. I opened the grill to grill some chicken, and these moths flew out. I found them underneath my truck. I'm finding moths everywhere. And when you think about, how do you keep the moths out? Well, typically you have a screen on the window. When you open the window and there's a screen there, what's the purpose? It's to allow the airflow to come into the house, in which you keep the bugs out. Some people don't have a screen on their company. They can literally recruit and hire anybody at any time for any reason, and they say, well, we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, that's one way to do it, and that's very entrepreneurial. That's very adaptive, and sometimes that works. But we want to take a little bit more thought-provoking and systematic order of hiring someone. This is the most important component of everything we're going to talk about in this hour. What are the ingredients that must be intact for the potential new hire to progress through the hiring process? So the first one is the most important. Here it is. This ensures that your organization is indeed ready to hire the person. It's called a job description and contract. This has been something that literally has been so shocking across the cannabis industry. This is the reason why so many companies get sued, because verbal is not a document. In fact, I've got a job description right here that our company created for a nonprofit in the cannabis industry. And what we did is the first page is about the organization. The second page is about the position, the values that the person needs to have. The third page is actually what the job description is, what they're going to be performing. The fourth is a list of duties. And then obviously the fifth page is about salary and the compensation package. This is a 5-page document that's high gloss, that's full color, that you can use as a marketing document to find the right person. We charge $2,500 for this job description. The reason why we do is because it takes so many hours to create a job description that will find the perfect person to ensure that they can fulfill the job requirements. So this is the 5-page document that is the parameter that provides the picture that you know who can fit that picture. Now, you may have your job description completely done and it works and it fits, but here's what you don't know. How do you know when you hire someone whether or not they're going to be able to really fulfill that job description? Because man, do people talk a good game in cannabis. Haven't you heard these people? Hey, I've been a grower for 40 years. I was growing before it was legal. And my great-great-grandpappy, he's been growing and I've been growing. And then you get them out there and they don't even know what the pH level of the soil is supposed to be. And they don't even know what to do if there's mites. And they don't have any idea whatsoever about the basics, but they know that they're a grower. So here's my encouragement to you. Before you sign a year-long document, that's going to be the contract with the wages, you need to have a 90-day trial period before you hire someone full-time. It shows that your company and the position is a good fit for the person. It's not whether you feel like it's going to be a good fit or whether you think it's going to work or whether the other person is convinced. It's whether or not the person can fulfill the job description. Because if they can't do the list of duties, it's the wrong person. And maybe you hired them for another job. But the 90-day trial period, well, let's take a look at it. Why do you need this? It reveals the truth about your potential hire. Man, do people put on a good game face when it comes to interviews, don't they? I mean, they can be positive and they're encouraging and their energy's high, and you think you're getting, this amazing box A until you hire the person, and the first day they come in and they're completely different. They're box B. You can fake somebody out the first week. You can fake somebody out the second week. You can fake somebody out even an entire month. I've seen people do it. I've even seen people fake somebody out for 2 months. For 60 days, they tried their best to keep on their game face. But here's the truth. You can't fake somebody out for 90 days. There's going to be the character and the integrity and the value systems all begin to come out in that 90-day trial period. And by the time you're done, the question is to you, will you sign a 1-year contract with that person based upon what was revealed in the first 90 days? Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is, do you know the number one cause, what stops people from actually progressing in a job, actually making money, making it work within the team? See, in this 90-day trial period, it's really answer one question. How much personal and professional emotional baggage was hidden within the entire hiring process? You see, what a lot of people don't understand is that everybody's got emotional baggage. Everybody can get emotionally triggered. We're all human and we've all got a past, and that's okay. But if the person has got a U-Haul with an added trailer on the back of the U-Haul filled with emotional baggage personally and professional baggage, Guess what happens? They bring all that baggage every single day to work, and then you wonder why they can't produce. You give grace to people where they're at. But if you hire someone who's got a ton of emotional baggage, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find that the person will be unable to produce, and you will end up hiring somebody that needs counseling that you may pay a salary to while they get emotional healing in your company. And that was not in the job description. And, you know, this nonprofit, the president and CEO role, do you know what it doesn't say? We will cover the emotional baggage and send you to counseling and pay tens of thousands of dollars for you to be emotionally healthy. That's not what it's about. So the 90-day trial period is key, because the emotional baggage is the #1 cause of hindered individual productivity, lack of corporate revenue. You know, we were just reminded of this just this year. We had a fantastic training. It was on DISC personalities. We have a one-day workshop specifically for the cannabis industry. And we had an awesome extraction company. We had 10 people in the room. Now, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. So I can pretty much pick up people's personalities really quick, and I can see who's trying to be somebody they're not, and somebody that really is. And out of they had a company of about 10, and 2 of the people, I said, I don't think that's going to work, and that's definitely not going to work. And in less than 4 weeks, both those people were gone. One of them had so much emotional baggage that there was barely room to breathe in the room. And the other person just wasn't a good fit for the company ethos. So you want to make sure when you're talking to these 3 to 5 potentials that you give them enough time that you can see who they really are inside. Listen, lots of people have been wounded in this world. A lot of people in cannabis have been really betrayed by other people. The stories are horrific. But if they've not worked through them, they bring all that baggage to your company, and it can really hinder your revenue, and it can hinder your team. So be careful with who you sign a contract to. Screening from the past. Okay, so the second ingredient when you start your screening process is to understand about DISC analysis. Now, if you are corporate and you've worked with IBM and Apple and all the other Fortune 500 companies, this is the #1 analysis that they use before they hire anybody. They give someone the DISC analysis, they fill it out, and they ensure that their personality and the job are a good fit. Because if the person's got the right skill mix and the right experience and the wrong personality, it will not be a good fit. Because there are certain personalities that fit in certain areas, and they're better naturally at those areas. So without using the personality tool of DISC, your chances of keeping the new hire are staggeringly low. And the reason why is because the person will come in to do a job instead of saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting paid to fulfill this position. See, you want the person's skill mix, their talents, you want their experience and their personality to fit with the position so well that they love their life. So people can come in and do a job. They can do skills, and you can upskill people. But people have a really hard time changing their personality for a long period of time to try to do a job. It'll just burn them out. Lastly, is this concept of having a reference and background check. You know, we all want to believe the best about other people, don't we? We want to say, yes, I'm hiring you to be a salesperson. Yeah, I believe that you've done a lot of sales in the past. That's awesome. Yeah, you talk a great game. You're motivating. I think I would purchase from you. Question, who were their last 3 employers? And when you called them up, what were the 5 key questions that you asked each of those employers that uncovered the truth that what they say they can do is actually what they've been able to do? A CEO, a HR manager, an owner that hires someone without performing a reference and background check is either a new business person or they're way too busy and they shouldn't be hiring in the first place. This is a bad business practice. You call up their past employers, because if you heard something like this, oh my gosh, I would never hire this person again. They stole corporate funds. We had to let them go. In the last 3 jobs, that's what they told you. Would you want to hire them for the CFO for your company? No, but how would you have known that unless you would have called those 3 past employers? Whatever you do, don't put somebody on your payroll until you've called their last 3 employers to ensure that what that person's saying aligns with who they were reporting to for their last 3 jobs. Now, this is an interesting quote. Just take a look at this for a second. What are the characteristics of a bad hire? 67% of employers said that the number one reason why it was a bad hire is because the employee didn't produce the proper quality of work. 67. 7 out of 10 people that they hired, 7, did not produce the quality that the employer hired them to produce. In your job description, I hope that it's not just about the tasks, but the how you want the tasks fulfilled, that there's a quality area in there so that you know the quality control with every person that's working with you. They know what the parameters are, where the guidelines are. But can you imagine hiring 7 people in a row out of 10 and you say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I hired these people. They can't perform, they can't produce the quality that I'm looking for. That's what the 90 days are all about. Because if they can't produce in 90 days, they might not be able to produce the rest of the year. So now is time for part 4, which is hiring for the present. You're going to hire somebody today. You're ready to go. So you need to rely upon your team members. This is so important. You know, let's say you've got a small company of 10 and you want to bring in your 11th person. You're bringing a salesperson in. Question: how does the salesperson interact with all the other people around the table? Now, when you know a lot about dispersonalities, what you want to do is you want to put the salesperson, which is not always, but typically an extrovert. They're outgoing, they're vivacious, they're excited, they're ready to come into the company and really make a difference. And you want to put that person in between the 2 biggest introverts in the room. And the reason why you want to do this is to see whether or not the introverts can raise their level of energy and match that and kind of coordinate efforts to kind of bring in the different person. And can this person who's an extrovert, can they lower their energy a little bit and become a little bit more subdued to fit in with the team? So if you hire the right person who fits in the right position, and your company is the right company for them, they fit in with the ethos, but they don't fit in with the team or create disunity within the team, you have a real mess on your hands. Because if it's a small company of 10 and you hire the 11th person and they come in and create disunity, my goodness, you could be putting out fires for months. And it only takes 1 in a small company to create disunity in which the cash flow begins to go down. Now, of course, if the person's virtual, if they're not going to be interacting with the team very often and you outsource, it's not that important. But if they're in the offices on a daily basis, the entire team should have high buy-in to that person because they say, you know what, she feels like one of us. He feels like one of us. We're excited to go to the next level in the screening process. Now you've gone through all of these different hoops. Now you've hired the person. And in the first 90 days, they're really producing. And you're excited. You're like, wow, this is a great person. I'm so glad we hired them. And look at all that they're doing. And the team's getting along great. And they're being productive. But in about a year's time, they leave. Do you know the number one reason why high quality followers leave great jobs that fit with who they are, that they make a lot of money? There's one reason, and that's called incentives. And there's one incentive that causes more high quality people to leave their jobs and go somewhere else than any other. It's been proven. So here's what it is. There's no training program that enhances them as an individual. See, the reason why people stay inside a company is because they're leveling up their business acumen and they appreciate the company that takes the time and the money to level up their business acumen. And if that doesn't happen, they start to churn because they say, you know what, I'm not growing as a person. And the money's fantastic and I like everyone here and I love what I'm doing and I'm good at it, but I'm not growing as a person. I think I'm going to start looking for another job. So you may find really great people and they can be great fits. And everybody say, we love these people, but if they don't stay, the number one reason is they're not being coached. And by the way, if you're the owner or you're the business owner, you're the entrepreneur, you're the people that pay them, you typically are the worst person to coach your staff members because you're already too ingrained in the culture. So make sure that if you get great people, that you get them coached so that they see the company as a place they can remain long-term because they're growing as business individuals. Now for the people that care about SOPs, this is the part of the talk that you're going to love. So it's about the timeline and the candidates. So let's talk about the thoroughness of your recruiting process when it comes to SOPs. This is going to simplify and expedite the screening process if you implement it correctly. So let's take a look at some of these concepts. So you're going to be marketing for the position. So how do you market for this position? Let's say, for sake of discussion, you would like a salesperson to come in to sell your services or your products in the cannabis industry. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to get your job description. And you're going to go over here and you're going to take the paragraph, that's your descriptive paragraph right here. It says exactly what the person is going to do, who you're looking for that's going to fulfill this position. You're going to make a meme out of that. You're going to get maybe the background with your logo, and you're going to put that statement and you're going to post it on your social media. You're going to put it on your website, and you're going to start saying to people, we are looking for a person who's going to be a salesperson in our company, and here is the picture of what it looks like. Here's the description of what we're looking for. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put a website link on that meme, and you're going to drive everyone to your website. Because one of the frustrations that you don't want to endure is to have 100 people call you on your corporate line, or they're going to send you an email saying, I'm interested in the job. What you want to do is you want to pre-filter them before you even have any personal one-on-one interaction. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to drive everyone to your website because you're going to have the job description, the contract, and the application for that position on a PDF. You're going to have it on your website, and you're going to say to anybody that asks you, hey, I saw you posted this on your website. Hey, I saw this on social media. Yeah, please go to our website, download the job description, contract, and application, fill it out, and email it back to us. Now, this sounds really simple, doesn't it? Now, if you're a competent business person, it's not really a challenge to you if you're wanting to do something, to download a PDF, print it off, fill it out, and scan it and email back. It's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. But you know what we found in the cannabis industry? That is really complex for people to do. I don't know what happened here, but the excitement level of many business people in cannabis and their ability to just perform a small action are light years apart. So, you know, I can't tell you how many times that we talked to a cannabis company that really deserved to get funding. They had all the right characteristics to be funded. And we said, my goodness, we're going to send you a mutual NDA. It's all through DocuSign. Please send that back to us, and we're going to give you a contract. And the person says, yes, I'm ready. I have all the stuff. And then they can't seem to take the PDF and take it through DocuSign and click an initial twice and sign once. It's 3 clicks. It's a mouse click. 3 mouse clicks, 1, 2, 3, to get them to get funded. So what this is going to do is it's going to help you filter through 90% of the fluff that people talk about, but that don't do anything about. So put your job description, contract, application on your website as a PDF, ask them to download it, fill it out, get it back to you, and see how many people can do that action. The ones that do are the ones that are serious about your company. So what you want them to do is you want them to take the DISC analysis. So send them, it's a really simple link. Make sure when you tell them to take this link, you say, please only focus when you're at your job in a position, so it doesn't skew the data. When the applicant fills out that 123test.com, here's what's going to happen. At the very last slide, it's going to have a pie chart that's going to give you the 4 different personalities and what their percentages are. That's going to help you know that who the person is, and then from the application, what their experience and skill is. Do all 3 of those fit together? That's going to be a good fit for your company and for the position. Hopefully you're thinking some new thoughts. Then what you're going to do is you're going to print off all the applications, all the DISC analysis. You're going to staple them into packets, and then you're going to have a staff meeting. You're going to have them go around. That you put, like, let's say 1 to 20, and you're going to put a 1 next to it with maybe Bob's name, and 2 with Sarah, and 3 with Francois, and you're going to have all these different people. And you're going to have your staff go through all the packets and pick out their top 3 to 5. That means that you have now created ownership with your whole team, that they want to be involved in the process. Then what you want to do is you want to have those 3 to 5 come in and meet with the owner first and have a one-on-one conversation. And then immediately after that interview, bring them to the staff meeting in which the staff can engage them for the next hour or so. And then you go to the next person, and the 3rd person, and the 4th person, the 5th person, however many you think might be potentials. Because here's what you're going to find. When someone is alone, focused on the interview, versus with a team of people, you're going to see the continuity in the person's personality. What are they like? How are they like? Are they the same on both? Are they different? So that way the owner, manager, entrepreneur, leader, HR manager, they're all going to be able to see one-on-one and one on the team. And they're going to see any discrepancies and the people that they really want to work with. Once you get that done, take the top 3 and enter them into the screening process. Now, let's talk about salespeople for a second, because a salesperson on your team can make you the most money or cost you the most money. This is something that's been really shocking. So many times I've talked to salespeople in the cannabis industry, and I say to them, how are you doing? And they said, we're really struggling. And I've talked with salespeople all over the world about this, and I say, why are you struggling? They say, well, we don't really know what to do. And I say, well, when you were hired, what did the owner give you by way of a sales packet, a sales and marketing packet that had your job description, the functions, the title, the duties, but then it needs to be in probably a sales and marketing packet where you have the scripts of what to use on the phone that have been used before. They've been vetted. They actually work. They have a high percentage chance of you getting yeses. Is there phone scripts? Is there email scripts? Is there a database? Is there a CRM? Or did you hire somebody and hope that because they can sell, they know how to sell your product or your service? And by the way, just because somebody's great at selling a product doesn't mean they're equally adept at selling a service. The cannabis industry is bizarre. I mean, you can make $1 million one year and lose $2 million the next. It is really changing on a moment-by-moment basis. Look at this quote. This really shocked me. A top executive of a placement firm says, the majority of salespeople do not leave the company. They don't leave the company because of money, but because of the lack of sales training. They don't know exactly how to sell. One of the clients I currently have is in sales. I really like the guy, sharp, passionate, loves what he does. But he was selling products in his past job that was in a marketplace that needed the products and already had a platform, a foundation. When he came to join this cannabis company, there was no scripts, there was no CRM, there was no platform for him to be successful. In fact, just the opposite. And in our first couple months together, we came up with 12 different legitimate reasons why he couldn't sell currently in the company that he was in. He didn't know how to sell the product because it was so new, and all that had to be crafted. For those of you that have worked with salespeople in the past that have been very unproductive, I want you to ask yourself the question, what did you do to ensure that they could become successful? It is the responsibility, excuse me, of the company to ensure that the salesperson indeed has accountability and the platform that they can be successful. Now, of course, if you don't hold your salesperson accountable and you don't know what they're doing Monday through Friday, you're probably not going to get much sales out of them, because salespeople are very creative and they're very fluid and they're sometimes all over the place. So make sure that you've got a good sales training program for them, with the scripts and all the things that they can follow to ensure that they make sales, they make the commissions, and the company is making revenue. Okay. So in conclusion, you need to recruit and think about recruiting where the company is growing in the next 5 years, not where it is today. If that person is on the same level that can grow with you with the company, that'll work. If they're a little bit below your level and they want to rise to the level, that's awesome. If they're above your level, they can help bring the company up, but it can't take too long. If the person is too low and the company grows too quickly, it won't work. So make sure you hire to where you want your company to grow in the next 5 years. So listen to this statement, please, and take this in. Because people in cannabis think it's really easy to hire somebody. They're like, well, I like the guy, or I like the girl. She's awesome. Let's hire her. And people get hired and fired all the time. It's too loose. It's too easy to get hired. It's too easy to get fired. And we're hearing disastrous stories of really amazing people that are losing their jobs because the company wasn't ready. They thought they were ready, but they didn't have their ducks in a row, and they were winging it. And the person signing up didn't know that. And one of the complaints we're hearing with a lot of people that have been hired and let go is this issue. They weren't explained clearly that the industry and the company was a startup, that it's brand new. If your company is less than 5 years old, you're a startup. And if this person has come from another well-established company that's 10, 20, 50, 100 years old, they have certain expectations of criteria that are not met with an entrepreneurial company. It's been a real disconnect. So it is the overestimation of the owner's abilities to recruit, screen, hire, and retain, and the underestimation of the amount of time, effort, and money it takes to cause, that causes something. Look at this: high turnover of staff, team frustration, and massive amounts of net profit loss. See, if you got a couple $1 million in the bank and you hire a salesperson and they don't work out, you probably don't even notice. But if you are not making revenue, you are sometimes blowing your money on salaries that, if they're overpaid, you're causing that person to fail. If there's no platform, there's no way they can possibly succeed. So here's what it should feel like after you hired the right person with the right personality and the right gift mix, the right talents, and the right experience that fit in the position, fit in the team perfectly. You should celebrate. You should celebrate. Yay, we found the right person. This is wonderful. What a great person. This is awesome. But you know what? Unfortunately, this is also what it feels like when you've let go the wrong person or they resigned. Listen, I have talked to business owners that said to me, I don't know what happened to Bob. He's been working here for 3 months, and one Monday morning, he didn't show. And I said, well, maybe he's sick. I didn't think about it. I left a text message, didn't hear back from him. Tuesday, I called him, didn't hear anything. Wednesday, I shot him an email. We've never heard from Bob again. We had a check for him. We don't know how to get in touch with him. He was a great employee, but we don't know what happened. However, if Bob's been with your company like a year and decides to get another job and leaves, this is the same feeling of relief of, yay, Bob's gone. This is wonderful. Because there's nothing worse than working with someone that you can't stand, that's not producing. And we've all been there, haven't we? We're like, oh, I can't wait for that person to go. I hope they leave sooner than later. And do you know, one of the biggest successes in my coaching history of 20 years, of 250 companies, 20 countries around the world, is getting rid of the wrong people in such a way that there's no bitterness, there's no anger with the person that we get to leave. There's a whole construct of creating momentum so that the wrong people leave your organization, that leave in such a way that everybody celebrates as they leave, just like this, and that everybody is relieved when they're gone. So if you're celebrating like this because your new hire made it a year and they did everything they possibly could to make your company successful and you're thrilled with them, we're celebrating with you that you found the right person. So some other concluding thoughts is take your time when you are in the hiring process. When you're recruiting people, don't rush the process. And the more money you're going to pay this person, the slower you should go. And the more you should use your intuition. Ask yourself the question, in 1 year's time, will this person be here in our company? Will it be the right fit? Will I be thankful that they are working with us today? You know, many times people's intuitions, they're very quiet. You have to become quiet yourself because the intuition is quiet, and ask the right questions and just be quiet and listen to your intuition to make sure that your speed, your churning isn't causing your intuition to become deaf to you and to your ears. Next, make sure that you implement due diligence procedures. Write your job description because that gives you the picture of who you're looking for. Make sure that they take this analysis. Make sure that you do your background check on them. Do your reference check, because your next hire might be your worst nightmare or your best decision. You know, in our company, in the Hemp Business Advisors, you know, we have myself and Michaela and Carrie. We're the 3 co-founders. You know, we love working together. We have a ball working together, and we each have our different areas of gift mixes, and they all work together as one. It's awesome to work with people that you really produce high quality results for, and the projects get done, and everybody's happening. They're all happy because the things that are happening, you're saying, oh my goodness, look at all the good things that are taking place in our lives. When you hire the wrong person, no matter what you do, you can't make it work. So when you find a true internal partner, your follower, this is what makes business worthwhile as an adventure that everybody seeks. Nobody gets involved in cannabis to be bored. They can go do that in general business. The cannabis industry is filled with exciting adventures. When I wake up in the morning, I never know who has sent me an email, a text, a WhatsApp message, a Telegram. I mean, sometimes I get 10 different forms of inundation of different concepts from different people in cannabis, and I never know what it's going to be about. This is the adventure that you and I were created for. Cannabis can create a platform for great joy, a great adventure. And if you're involved in that, you want a team that is just as excited as you are about the adventure. So we look forward to seeing you soon in person. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next Zoom webinar. Email us if you want to have a 30-minute complimentary Zoom session, because we love helping businesses grow. If you want to talk about creating job descriptions, you want to talk about your SOPs, you want to talk about getting funded, you want to talk about some executive coaching, you want to talk about business consulting, if you want to expand in this crazy time, then those are kind of the areas that we focus upon. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you today. We're thankful that you took an hour out of your life to share it with us, and we look forward to spending another time with you. My name is David Wilkinson. I am the co-founder and competitive strategist here at the Hemp Business Advisors. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.